we made it. You'll see it in the morning, but this is actually a really nice campsite. Now, we didn't make it without incident though. What's happening? I'm Will.
I'm Christy.
And this is Pumbaa Dog.
After years of overlanding across the United States, we decided to hang up normalcy and move full-time into 𝐼𝐬𝐻𝐽, our 21-foot travel trailer.
Our goal is to set up base camp in different regions of the U.S. and explore the areas around us. We invite you to join us as we share our adventures of full-time living. Moving day number 5. And this is probably one of the most exciting for me because we're finally leaving the Southeast. We're going to Alabama from South Carolina. So the first day, or the first move, was from South Carolina to Tennessee. Then we moved within Tennessee. Then from Tennessee back to here. And now we're going to Alabama.
For a week.
For a week. And then we're going to Texas. And this is the first time that we're going to a spot with no hookups.
Not true. We didn't have hookups in Outer Banks.
Oh, well, yeah, we camped for the weekend with no hookups when we first got it. But
yeah, sir.
We got full-on solar, though, so we got power. We're going to dump here, and then we'll get some fresh water just outside of the area where we're going to be at, and then haul it through, and yeah, should be fun.
Go from there.
Yeah, we'll spare you guys the driving details. Just know we're driving. 6 hours. Yeah, fun stuff. To pull out of where we're at, we've got to go over this little brick divider deal, and it's not that big of a deal. We've done it without them, but I'm actually going to set up these action tracks because it's pretty hard on the suspension of that camper to drop down like that. Pull up. Look at those things bending, boys. I mean, if those things didn't break under that, I really don't know how you would break one. This is a windy ride. We're getting thrown all over the road right now. There's like a system that's moving through. It was supposed to move through yesterday, but it's moving through now. And hopefully we don't have to drive the whole 200 some odd miles to Alabama this way, but we're getting like 6 miles to the gallon, getting jerked all over the road. It's quite the experience. It's all headwind too. All right, well, we made it. You'll see it in the morning, but this is actually a really nice campsite. Now, we didn't make it without incident though. We kissed a trucker on the way here. Show him some support, you know. Luckily, it didn't do too much damage. I'll also show you that in the morning, but basically just the filler spout, the marker light, and then that sheet metal right there, but that's it. So we got lucky. Now, I'm not real sure why I wanted to show you guys so bad how to make cheese grits, but nonetheless, here you go. Speaking of cheese grits, I think that I am the only person to ever make a batch of cheese grits on the Oregon coastline, and I think that I should hold some sort of record for that. At any rate, the most important thing when making cheese grits is going to be this consistency that you see right there. That's it. I spent most of my time in Alabama exploring the Talladega National Forest, going up the Alabama Rubicon, exploring 𝐤𝐭 𝐈𝐧 Park, and Little River Canyon. What a beautiful area this was. Be sure to check out the full video. I'll leave a link down in the description below, but it really showcases this area, and I was actually surprised at how pretty Alabama really is. What are you doing?
Working remote.
So inevitably, one of the biggest problems that we have with the full-time RV in 2021 is Christy has to report to work Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Eastern. And the obstacle is finding internet.
Well, where we're camping, there's internet, but no cell.
It's very spotty, yeah.
It's very, very, very spotty.
Yeah.
It's not strong at all. But
Now,
here it's really strong.
The good news is, though, she's got a pretty decent scenery.
Minus the trains that come through every hour.
Every hour?
So far, 4.
So you've been writing them down?
Yeah. Every hour a train comes through, blowing that horn. All the way down there to about right here.
There's no traffic. I wonder why the hell they're blowing the horn.
I have no idea.
He just likes to hear it choo-choo.
Probably because of people coming to the park.
Tip: when you see places like this on the side of the road in rural areas, stop. Probably gonna get something good.
We can't afford to get the label for it, but we don't use herbicides or pesticides. What we get, and the Lord gives us plenty.
Man, what an awesome little store. I got some boiled peanuts, which this is probably the last batch of boiled peanuts that I'll get unless I make them myself, because out west you cannot find boiled peanuts and they're so good. I also got some onions, I got some sweet potatoes, and I got some pork sausage, and I got some country eggs. And all that stuff was right at around 12 bucks. So awesome little store if you're in the area. Toting our house out to the middle forest does have some perks. Check out this spread we're fixing to have. What? Remember earlier when I stopped by the roadside stand and I suggested you guys do it too? This is another one of those finds right here. This is strawberry jalapeno barbecue sauce, and it sounds like it wouldn't be good, but it's one of the best things that I've ever tasted in my life. It's from this little place out in Gatlinburg, Tennessee.
Good Lord, what did you do today? Your truck's covered in mud.
Well, that's how it's supposed to look. 𝐒𝐿𝐴 finally made it. Kurt and Jen.
What's up?
I don't think they can see you, but I see a little bit of you. Look at this badass rig though, huh? Look at that. Yeah, stay tuned for a future episode there. Badass builds. So ironically, this is their first night on their big venture as well. So this marks a first for all of our adventures, I guess. Who would have thought we would have started in Alabama?
Only an hour from Atlanta.
It's a beautiful place over
It's
there.
actually really pretty, yeah.
It's not bad at all.
Day number 4, we're waking up to less than spectacular conditions. Although, we got friends at the campsite. The Grande Rojo.
It's got another name.
What is it?
Well, it depends on who you ask.
Okay, what's the name of the rig here?
He calls it Gran Rojo.
Gran Rojo.
Big Red.
Big Red.
Clifford.
I like Clifford.
And the proper Spanish pronunciation is Gran Roja.
Roja. Man, it was super cool to get to hang out with Kurt and Jen and the kids for a little while before they start their epic journey on down the road to full-time van living. They're off.
See you, dude. Thank you.
All right, have a good one.
See you, Will.
They're off. They're on their way to Corpus Christi, where it's 70 degrees and sunny. I can't blame them. After saying goodbye to the van fam, it was time for us to go ahead and start packing up too. We were all headed to Texas, however, they were headed to South Texas and we were headed to North Texas. Turns out we should have went with them, and you'll see why later. And just like that, we are off. Move day number 6 for us on our full-time RV living adventure. And now we're on our way to Texas. You know, I thought coming into Alabama that I would just see pine trees and sand, much like South Carolina and Georgia. So I was thoroughly impressed by what I saw. Shout out to Cheap State Overland, Alabama Overland, Taylor and Jody. Those guys hooked me up with some pretty cool overlooks, showed me a place to get some really good ribs. Also, Jody hooked me up with some sealant for the RV roof and a water pump, so that way I can stop by a local stream or, you know, creek or anything to pump water whenever I need it. So Now, other than the fact of having to stop to empty out black tanks and gray tanks, we are 100% off-grid and self-sustainable in our RV, in our home. So, home on wheels. The mighty Mississippi. It's nighttime, so you can't see it. This is it. So we decided to break up the trip outside of Monroe, Louisiana. And let me tell you, if you ever think that full-time RVing is just pretty scenery and women in bikinis and just epic camp views and sights and all that, think again. Sometimes you find yourself in pull-offs in the middle of the swamp, complete with busted toilets, trash, and other swampy things. Anybody want to go for a swim? Hey, it is what it is. What can I say? So we got another, I think about a 5.5 hour drive till we get to our stopping point in Texas. So weather looks good. Christy's finishing up our coffee making process here. We're ready to hit the road. The bad thing about being in Swampland is the fact that it's all muddy right there. And there's also that tree, so I'm gonna have to back up and then pull out and do it in a manner that I'm not gonna get stuck. Now, luckily we got the action tracks, which will help us from getting stuck if for any reason we get in too soft a ground. And also it takes a little bit of skill. You gotta be real soft and consistent with the gas. So let's see how it works out. Christy's gonna back up some, then I'm gonna back up, and then I'm gonna pull right on out of this little ditch we're in. While checking the tire pressures before the trip, which is always a good plan, we found a nail inside the tire here, and there was another nail that I found at camp yesterday, so it's likely somebody's put some nails down on one of the trails that I went into, which is, unfortunately, it's common. It sucks, but unfortunately it's common. I don't know the reasoning behind that, but anyway, I've got a plug kit here. I'm gonna go ahead and plug it, show you guys how I do it. But first and foremost, you have to get yourself a really good plug kit, and that is very crucial. And when I say good plug kit, it doesn't necessarily have to be name brand. It's just got to have strong handles. The plastic handled ones are not going to work. Also, make sure that you got plenty of these plugs. Ideally, you'll want to get your tire patched whenever you get back into town somewhere. Obviously, in the middle of the swamp here in Louisiana, I don't have a tire machine, I can patch it up, and we are losing air pretty quick. Get yourself enough plugs, we call them cat turds. Throw them in there. That's gonna be one of the hardest parts of the whole ordeal here. And then the next thing you're gonna do is get what they call your reamer, which is this guy right here. And basically what you're gonna do is you're gonna create a nice hole for the plug or cat turd to go into. And yeah, and that's it. So we gotta get what the object is out. We got to ream it out with the reamer, and then we got to put the cat turd in, and we got to do it all within a relatively quick sequence here. So let's go ahead and get started. That's the culprit right there.
Eight hours later.
All right, and after you're done fighting, fussing, and cussing, you will finally get it in there. The trick is, use that a lot. Just ream it out. Whew, man, I tell you, that was way harder than it needed to be. Anyway, well, now we're off and off to Texas. We got about a 5-hour drive ahead of us, so buckle up. It's gonna be a long one. Our next campsite was located just north of Dallas-Fort Worth in a dog-centric campground that was really cool. We had our own yard, we had a place for Pumbaa to play, place to bathe Pumbaa, and it was also remote and in some farmland to where you can hear our new neighbors here, the coyotes. Christy and Pumbaa are set up in a safe, secure area with all the amenities, I can go run the Oklahoma Adventure Trail. The Oklahoma Adventure Trail is a mostly off-road trail. It's like 1,700 miles, circles the entire state of Oklahoma, and it was an awesome trip. I invite you to go check it out. I'll leave a link to all the videos down in the description below. While on this trail, I was told by a buddy of mine that I needed to start paying attention to the weather as it was about to get pretty bad. As of right now, I don't think it's supposed to storm, but it is supposed to get really cold. And, you know, I got a firm belief that if I'm not having fun or making money, then there ain't no use in doing it. It's supposed to drop, and it's supposed to drop quick, sometime around Monday or Tuesday. They may even be pushing that back Tuesday, Wednesday. As you can see, I'm waking up to beautiful landscape today. Not so pretty sunrise, which that's okay. The temperatures dropped from the 40s down to the 30s last night and became incredibly windy. The wind has somewhat died down some now that I've been in here editing video and whatnot. Halfway to go. Real big cold weather is going to be coming in Monday and Tuesday, I believe. So I'm going to go ahead and cook up some coffee this morning, and then we're going to hit the trail and see if we can't get this thing over and done with before Monday or Tuesday. So that gives us today, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. That's 4 days that we have to get it over with. So let's hope for the best. Go ahead and cook up this coffee and get things moving. Pretty much blazed through the last portions of the Oklahoma Adventure Trail, so that way I could get back down to Christy and Pumbaa and weather the storm with them. There really wasn't much we could do. I looked it up at one particular time. I was going to have to drive a total of 12 hours no matter which way in order to avoid the extreme cold that was coming. And let's face it, these campers definitely are not made for extreme cold. By the time that I got back to Dallas-Fort Worth area, it had already been below freezing for a few days, and it had already started to affect the camper. So the real bummer is the fact that, you know, we picked Grand Designs and all that for one of the things was their Arctic insulation, which, remember, it had that big sticker right there on the door. It said Arctic insulation. The idea was that underneath it would be ducted and heated through the ducting system that the heater uses. So if we were using the heat on the inside, then it blows down in here. Well, it's not ducted. We found that out when I took the bottom off and was looking for the duct because I couldn't find it. Also, it's supposed to be insulated, which means it's supposed to have some kind of, I would think, insulation, but the insulation that they used was just this foil piece that we saw. So now it's just below freezing, and the pipes aren't frozen or anything like that, which is good, and I think we can prevent that. But what's happening is the black tank was 2/3 and we needed to dump it so that way for the upcoming freezes, but somehow or another this mechanism down here has frozen for the black pipe. So I'm gonna take the heat gun, which luckily I have, and try to heat it up and hope for the best. Now we could run this on the Victron, but it would suck up like all the energy, so then we'd have to turn back on the generator. So I'd say right now it's better that we're at a campground. Although if we weren't at a campground, we wouldn't feel obligated to stay here, and we would find ourselves in a hotter climate somewhere that it wasn't freezing. We're kind of obligated because we've already paid to be here for a month. Let me explain to you guys the definition of nonsense. This is nonsense. Winter storm warning where we're at. 4 days. 4 days remaining. It's already done froze. Like the shit pipe down there to undo the black tank froze. The water hose froze.
The coldest mornings will be Monday and Tuesday. Those are actual temperatures, and then when you factor in the wind, it's actually going to feel a lot colder. And here's that forecast for you. Single digit feels like temperatures likely through much of the day tomorrow. Some spots by the afternoon feeling sub-zero numbers here already, north and west. And that type of weather will continue, likely even colder by the time we get out the door Monday morning.
Current situation. It's cold as hell. All right, well, that's going to do it for this episode of Full-Time Livin'. Be sure to stay tuned for the next episode of Full-Time Livin' as we take on the adventure of sub-freezing temperatures inside of a travel trailer, which I'm here to tell you is no fun. I hope that you guys enjoyed this episode. If you did, make sure that you hit that like button, hit the subscribe button to see more like it, and be sure to ring the bell for notifications when new episodes come out. Till next time, you guys keep hanging in there like a hair on a biscuit, and remember, you can be happy if you've a mind to. Peace, y'all.